Okay, for number 6 here on the study guide for our integral test, we have this integral from 4 to 6 of negative x plus the absolute value of 6x minus 30. Now, the first thing I would do is I'd break this up into two integrals. So we could say that this is equal to the integral from 4 to 6, I'm going to put the negative sign out here, of x dx plus the integral from 4 to 6 of the absolute value of 6x minus 30 dx. Now, this integral, the one with that, that's pretty easy to do. But this one is a little bit trickier, and so I just want to kind of explain how this works. It's not that hard, but what I want you to do is I want you to think of what 6x minus 30 looks like. So quickly, let's just sketch it. 6x minus 30, that means that, somewhere down here it's got a y-intercept of negative 30. It hits there. And then it goes up 6 over 1, up 6 over 1. Well, if you think about that, if it went up 6 over 1 and it started at negative 30, that means it would cross here at 5, right? So the line would look something like this. But this is the absolute value of 6x minus 30, right? So, I mean, the easy way to think about this is just simply, okay, well, if it's the absolute value, you can't have any negatives. So this is really going to look like that. And this bottom part won't be there anymore. Well, the integral just gives us the area underneath the curve. So really, we're just talking about these two triangles here and here. And we already know what the slope of that line is. It's 6. So we can get a pretty easy idea of these two triangles. In fact, we know, if I was to think about each of these triangles, they're the same. All right, I'm just going to kind of redraw them right here. We know they each have a width of 1. And since the slope is 6, well, this has to be 6 and this has to be 6. So 1 by 6 is 6. Divide that by 2 because it's a triangle is 3 and 3. Okay, well we've just taken that integral now. We found that integral. It's going to be 3 plus 3. Right? That's easy enough to figure out because it's just the area underneath the curve. Well, another way to think about that integral, let's rewrite this whole thing. This whole thing, remember, is the integral from, we said negative from 4 to 6 of x dx. We'll evaluate that in a second. It's pretty easy to do. Plus, we can actually break this up into two integrals. So I want us to think of it as two separate integrals. One where it's from 4 to 5 and one where it's from 5 to 6. So let's think about that first. We got 4 to 5 and then 5 to 6. And if you think about it from 4 to 5, it's actually doing the opposite, right? Remember, the original function was down here, but when we take the absolute value, it comes up top. Well, if you think about that, that's just the opposite of 6x minus 30. That's negative 6x plus 30. If you were to follow this line, it would go up and hit the y-axis at 30, and it has a slope of negative 6. So we can actually just write this as minus 6x minus 30 plus, and then the part from 5 to 6, well, that's just a normal 6x minus 30, right? That was part of the regular old line 6x minus 30 before we even added the absolute values. So for that, I'm just going to call that positive 6x minus 30, little dx, little dx. Well, now the point is, we already know that this is 3 and this is 3 because we did the simple geometry and found that they're 3. But we could actually do the calculus and find that these are all 3 as well, which, I'd encourage you to do that. I'm not going to have enough space here. But let's go ahead and just work this all out now. So I have negative. The integral of x just becomes x squared over 2. And I'm going to evaluate that from 4 to 6. Again, remember, I already know that this is going to end up being positive 3. The little negative here, if you were to do the integral of this, you'd get negative 3. But remember, we want the opposite because it ends up being positive. You're going to think about it. The integral, the natural integral would just give you negative 3, but we're doing the opposite, so we get positive 3. So plus 3, plus 3. Okay, let's just work this out. That's like saying 6 squared over 2 minus 4 squared over 2. Remember, there is a negative out here. Plus 6. And that's negative 36 over 2 minus 16 over 2 plus 6. 36 minus 16 is 20. And 20 divided by 2 obviously is 10. So this is negative 10 plus 6, or negative 4. And that's all there is to number 6. Again, I'd encourage you, you could actually do the calculus here, the integral here, and you'll see you get positive 3 and positive 3. But I think doing it the geometric way is much easier way to think about it. All right, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys on the next problem.